Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Ashraf. I am a senior financial sector expert at the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. I'm responsible for IMF technical advice on governance, transparency, and risk management, including aspects of fintech-related risks. Today, I'm joined here by my colleague Majid Malaika.
Hello, everyone. My name is Majid Malaika, and I'm the lead digital transformation risk at the IMF. My focus and research is exploring the risks of emerging technologies and solutions such as fintech, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance, and of course, CBDC, central bank digital currencies, among other technologies and solutions as well. We would like to share with you a few thoughts and findings on how fintech and cybersecurity are critical for central banks and their own risk management practice. This is based on our recent IMF working paper, which explores the topic through technical assistance work done with central banks. And this is very timely given the ambitious strategic goals that central banks are setting with the emergence of CBDC and the fintech innovation solutions that are coming up as well.
Exactly. Now, you might think that fintech is only relevant for financial institutions, such as banks, insurance companies, and new fintech firms. However, central banks, including those that are financial supervisors, are affected by fintech developments as well. For instance, you can think of central banks using cloud computing solutions or doing extensive big data analysis and using algorithms to sieve through their own transactions for odd patterns. Also, there are many central banks exploring fintech policy options as well, varying from the central bank digital currencies that Majid just referred to mobile payments and enhanced data analytics to optimize their asset management strategies. Now, it's no surprise then that these strategy, policy, reputational, and legal risks will increase for the central bank if there is no proper cooperation and coordination among the involved regulatory agencies. This includes other supervisors and involved ministries. Similarly, the central bank also needs to take a proactive role in establishing a balance between innovation and regulation and facilitating dialogue with the private sector, covering both incumbents as well as new market entrants.
Now, the same holds for the operational and cybersecurity challenges stemming from the digital transformation and newly adopted fintech solutions that Ashraf covered just now. Now, central banks are expanding their infrastructure, applications, and services, even their reliance on third party with cloud computing, for example. And also the open source technologies and software that innovation is actually happening is another source. This is for sure has expanded the central bank's footprint and presence on the internet, as a result expanding their attack vector. This expansion in the attack vector will challenge the central bank's operational resiliency in many ways. For example, without a sound cloud strategy and a sound third-party management, it will be extremely difficult for central banks to identify critical risks ranging from data sovereignty, privacy, down to operational and architectural challenges with their cloud adoption, of course. Now, also this attack vector expansion aggressively challenges the internal operational procedures like asset change and vulnerability management, and will require a more proactive and agile approach by the central banks when dealing with these new risks and emerging vulnerabilities by these technologies and solutions.
Exactly. And though this is a very clear outline of the risks that central banks run related to all these digital developments with fintech at the forefront, it's not something that is not approachable or not dealable for central banks. So based on our IMF technical assistance to numerous central banks over the past years, we drafted the following 5 recommendations for central banks to deal with these specific risks in the digital realm. First, central banks should have sufficient risk awareness and have an independent risk management function. This, in general, will help management and business departments within the central bank to identify fintech and cybersecurity related risks and assist in the mitigation of, the reporting on, and the monitoring of those risks. Second, central bank governors and other board members, the key decision makers of the central bank and the financial supervisor, should meet updated fit and proper requirements, as well as undergo ongoing training on relevant fintech and cybersecurity developments. Often, these decision makers will likely lack some required expertise in and experience with fintech activities, and this will hamper effective central bank decision making. Combinedly, third and fourth, there should be clear reporting lines of central bank to central bank decision makers who should look at fintech and cybersecurity issues as part of the central bank's overall strategic planning. The central bank could have, for instance, an internal fintech unit or a more informal working group or committee. But regardless of the organizational setup, there needs to be a balance between the internal organizational silos and quickly getting fintech and cybersecurity info to top management. Of course, this also holds for interagency cooperation within the domestic jurisdiction. The central bank should be able to work effectively and efficiently with other involved government agencies. This could be, for instance, via existing means of coordination, such as through a Financial Stability Council or a Domestic IT Council. It could also be through regular official meetings between the institutions involved, as long as these meetings allow for timely, efficient, and in-depth discussions of the key fintech and cybersecurity issues at hand. Such discussions could relate to identifying systemic risk aspects of specific developments or discussing possible coordinated policy responses. In other words, there might not be a need for new coordination mechanisms and structures at the domestic level, but it is necessary to examine if the existing ones are resilient enough to deal with fast-moving fintech and cybersecurity issues.
Excellent. And last, but definitely not least, our fifth recommendation is to improve the operational or cyber resiliency and security posture of these central banks in terms of their infrastructure, their procedures, internal procedures, their technologies, and skill set of the staff and vendors that works around their solutions and provided technologies. Now, central banks adopting fintech solutions and services should conduct a security posture assessment of their existing cyber resiliency to improve their security posture, their overall security posture. Now, the central bank's cyber resiliency is measured by the maturity of their internal processes like asset change, configuration, risk, external dependency, and vulnerability management as well, and could have a positive or a negative impact on the central bank's risk management and fintech adoption overall. Now, conducting a cyber resiliency and a security posture assessment by the central bank, preferable by an independent third-party specialist, would identify gaps that needs to be addressed to be successful with the central bank's fintech adoption and ambitious digitalization plan similar to a CBDC. Now, that's it for our brief overview of the central bank risk management, fintech, and cybersecurity. We thank you for your time and for your attention. Back to Ashraf.
And of course, thank you so much, Majid. Of course, if you have any questions or comments or feedback on what we shared today based on our findings in working with central banks, that feedback, those comments, those questions are very much welcome. Both Majid and I stand ready to assist or to help or answer any of those questions. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.